launch a product in the market. So here we are for the very first event of this series of edition, and of course there is lots more to come up. I'm very honored to welcome Mr. Joy John, who is a true visionary with 2 decades of expertise in software design, engineering, administration, deployment, security and other web technologies. He's an entrepreneur by heart and very passionate about applying technologies to solve business problems. He has involved in various internet startups. He co-founded Ruby Software, a cutting-edge in Ruby and Rails development and consulting company that is operating in the US and India. Ruby Software works with startups as well as with large organizations to help them succeed in their Ruby and Rails projects. So once again, I welcome Mr. Joy John, the product Cradle, and honor us with welcome to this.
Thank you guys. Last time when I had this session here, it was on a similar topic, but the agenda was how to use technology of Ruby on Rails on a startup. And you know how many people attended that? Can I guess? 6 people. 6 people. So, as an entrepreneur, you don't want to go back and you will fail. But the beauty is that you go back and try again. Today, how many we have? We have around 75 people on the product meetup group, and we have around more than 20 confirmed coming to this meetup. I don't know how many really came, but I'm really happy and excited to welcome you all to this event. And to mention a few names, I've got Anish, who's a friend of mine, Samir Hussain, Ravi, Thomas, and of course all my Ruby colleagues. Not all, some of my Ruby colleagues are here. And I'll get to you. I know you have a special time, but give me 5 minutes. So the way that we conceive this is that oftentimes as a Ruby on Rails company, we get to work with a lot of startups. Because of the fact that most of the startups wanted to get an MVP product to the market first, and they prefer a technology that can enable them to do that. And Security is going to talk about the MVP concept, so that aligns with our topic. So we said, look, India is opening up, there is a lot of startup initiatives, but the ecosystem of a startup really is not there in many of the cities, especially in Trivandrum. We don't even come out and meet and greet each other. We thought we should provide a platform for people to come and exchange ideas, maybe bounce few topics or be challenged or ask questions. So we perceive these sessions to be fairly open-minded. There's no real structure or format that we want to bring on. However, we thought we should have at least 3 main areas that we should present with in this session. Maybe we can change the following. But today, we're going to talk about product bites area where some of my colleagues will talk a little bit about 2 or 3 products that are innovative in nature. And then we have, I propose this name, but I cannot even pronounce it now. It's called product metamorphosis. So that is where Security is going to talk about a specific area of product development. Because we have such a short time span every meter, it's not possible for us to cover the whole, different permutations and development stages of a product. But at least we can touch upon few areas. And then you have the most interesting part is the idea-bound session where you can ask questions. We will collectively try to answer the entrepreneur or help them. If we cannot, we will take it up and rest assured we will do some analysis, research and provide you feedback through the meetup group. So that's sort of the broader agenda. However, feel free to comment on how it goes, propose changes, and of course we'll be able to work with the group to make those changes and make more interesting next time. With that, I heartily welcome everybody to the event. Thank you so much, Sakir, for
My name is Sakir Hassan. I work for a company called Innovation Digital as VP Product Management. I trained myself a little more detail with a later time to the Ruby team and Joyce and Mani for giving me the opportunity to talk to you. What I wanted to do was cover one concept that I found very interesting from the from this perspective of a minimum viable product, and we all have a certain idea of what a minimum viable product is. And I found an idea which was quite contrary to what we know as an MVP, and I thought it would be very helpful for all the startup founders and the leaders who work with startups to get a view of what that process is, and hopefully benefit from that as well. How many of you are founders, leaders of your own startups? But that's a pretty good number. Are there industry trends which necessitate a change at the customer side, creating a pain point for them? A regulatory change is coming up and they don't have an easy way of handling it, and therefore, can you have a product which will help them? Are there, some of the technology measures are stopping support for some product or some other thing happening? Can you help them migrate that, or can you help them not just migrate as a tactical activity, but also create a better solution rather than going into the newest version? Can you give them a new solution itself? Customer feedback meaning people who are actually working on a particular product. There is a pain point. Some of your contacts are talking about specific pain areas that they are facing day to day, and they don't have a fix ready made. Can you then find a solution for that, right? So these are some of the sources through which you get your ideas. Then you start looking at it. Not every idea is worth its weight in gold. So you kind of look for inputs to validate whether who do I go sell at. If you have only one customer in the world and you have one prospect in the world, then probably it may not be a great idea to go build an entire product, invest in that for just one customer. So how big is my market? Who would potentially buy? By geography, by size, by industry vertical. You do your market analysis, you do your market research, you look at your buyer personas, you look at the user personas and see how are they going to use it, what value will this add. All those questions you have to answer. And there's a whole big, I can probably share a 200-page booklet full of questions that you need to be answering over a period of time. But those are good questions. It will trigger your thinking. Right? So that's something which I had covered in one of the sessions in November last year. But what you need to do is think about all these different areas, because they have a very significant impact on what you will be doing and how your product will succeed in the market. So looking at all these ideas, and you say we need to start with this. We'll then add on. Every month, every quarter, we will add on new functionality, new features. This is how our roadmap is going to be. And then you start looking at who's available to kind of form the company. So you have your founding team in place. 2 people, 3 people, maybe specializing in different areas, maybe all in one area, which is typically delivery, because you all work together. But you need to find the right people for the right roles. So you start forming your team, you look for funding, maybe it's on your own funds that you're using to do it, but then soon you realize that you need to go out and get more funding in order to make sure that you have the right resources at the right time. So you're starting to hire talent, which means you're actually going down, you're deciding on a path which is kind of getting concrete by the day. It is no more nebulous, it has to now start, because it's not just the ideation phase anymore, it's not the brainstorming, it has to now start materializing, which means there are people who are looking up to you for direction, and they are going to create some stuff which you eventually will have to take to the market, and it's no longer just an idea. You are investing heavily in terms of resources, in terms of time, in terms of idea, which means that you have to be very clear as to what you are doing. Okay. So what typically has happened is you would notice if you actually read about how do I launch my idea, everybody talks about a minimum viable product. But there are different definitions of what we call an MVP, and you can read these as we go along. So the first one says that it allows you to collect the maximum amount of validated learning about the customers with the least effort. Okay, so it helps you get customer feedback with the minimum investment of time and resources. The second one says you can let you build quickly and make it around the build, measure, learn. So you keep on learning, build new stuff, take it to the market. That process will continue, and that's the MVP. The minimum set of features that adds value to the customer. So there are different definitions. You look for more definitions, you will find more as well. So where do you actually draw the line? But the very fact that it is called an MVP assumes that you are looking at a product. You have to have a product to show somebody. And it has to be ready to a certain extent, because you probably get one meeting, one audience with a potential customer. If the guy is not happy, you don't get a second meeting with him. So there is always this concern, where do I draw the line in terms of what should go into that minimum viable product and what should I leave out? Right? So that is always a question in your mind. And let me just quickly ask, how many of you face that question right now? Okay, so quite a few people. So this is what it typically is. Not very. Can you draw the line somewhere? Can you see the line over here? So what it says is that with time, you keep on building your product. You keep on building everything that you visualize as the mature, stable, 100% complete product that you have in mind. And somewhere in the middle of that 100% maturity, you take a call and then say, my product is ready to be shown to somebody, and I will collect feedback, and I will start tweaking my product somewhere around here to meet their expectations, to meet the customization requirements, to meet whatever I think is missing from this product will be added, and to meet the latest trends. So that is typically the thing. And what you essentially are trying to do, you're trying to make the MVP work by saying that you will chop off some requirement, you will chop off some time, some resources from what you ideally would need to reach your 100% product. And then you will get your MVP. That's the typical way of thinking when you think about the minimum viable product, which is fine so far, but the problem is you are committing yourself very heavily into that path. What you could do is only so much of leeway in terms of the flexibility that you have. So you could probably, instead of getting here, you might get here, or you might get here. But what if the market is completely else, something else? Right? So that's the question that a lot of people grapple with. Once they have reached this stage, and then you go to the market with your product and showcase them the idea, the product, what it could do, try making the pitch. Right? Probably a lot of people have realized that it is too late in the game to actually go to the customer with the MVP in this model. Okay, so what we're trying to do is look at the different stages of a product life cycle, and then you have these typical 5 stages. Right? There are different ways of looking at it, but one is the acquisition process, where you get a customer to actually look at your product and like the product. The other is the activation phase, where you are actually giving them a great first experience with the product. They are quite happy to see what the product has, and therefore you have the retention base, where they come back into the product, not just the first time, but they're so happy that they keep coming back. And then you have the referral, where they are so happy that they start talking to their peers and say, these guys are good, start using it. We are using it, you should also be using it. So it spreads by the word of mouth. And you have the revenue model, which is fine. Really, you have to make money to survive. So those are the 5 stages that we typically look at. Now there are before you even get into the acquisition, it is finding how does the first customer find you and have a great first experience. There are many assumptions that we are making in this process. Right? So what happens is, let's take an example of this is the example that I read, so I think it's probably very relevant to be here as well. There's an app that you want to build on the mobile for restaurants to easily put their menu online, put their services online, and people could use it to order food and all that stuff. Now, the idea is there are many assumptions here. How do you validate it, whether these assumptions are true or not? There are many significant. So you're assuming that there will be a bunch of restaurateurs who would be willing to use this application. They will be willing to pay for this application, and there will be a user base which you can convince the restaurateurs that will be using this particular app, and therefore it makes sense for them to invest in this. But how do you know what each of these stakeholders want? Because you have not talked to them. It's just your idea, your impression about how each of these guys will behave. As long as you have not validated it, there is no guarantee that you will eventually be successful. So how do you use that? Okay. So that is where this concept of the MVP not as a product but as a process comes in. So if you compare it with the earlier picture, which was a linear line, which you had only one path, which you kind of unveiled the product midway and said, look at this, and don't you think it's great? And somebody says, I don't see anything great, and you are stuck. And now how do you get out of it? Was the earlier situation. What is happening here is that you identify those assumptions that you have made, areas that you really don't know about, you are guessing in the process. And the two questions that you ask: what's the riskiest assumption that I am making in each of those areas? And what experiment can I do to validate or get an answer to that assumption? Is it right or is it wrong? So what you are seeing here is each of those the riskiest assumptions that you are making. Because if you get that wrong, the entire premise of that product goes out of the window. And that is a very valid concern, because in a study done by a company, by an agency about failed startups, around 40%, 45% of the companies said the reason why we failed was at the end of the whole exercise, we figured that there was no market for our product, and therefore we couldn't survive. So before you invest all your resources and before you make yourself 100% committed to a certain path, make sure it is valid. There is a need for that. There are other things that you need to keep in mind. Can you look at it? So maybe perhaps for every product that you are working on, probably that first jump to the proof of concept is giving your potential customers a mock-up and saying, would you want to buy a concept which will address these pain points? These are the benefits you get, these are the pain points that you address. This is going to be typically the price that you want. Will you buy? Is there a need for this? Not even buy, not doing the pricing or anything. Do you need this product? I think that question, if you can validate, then that the need for that product is actually, you are very clear about the need for that product. Is it really needed? And if so, what functionalities, what features should you have to differentiate yourself from competition? Because there is no real reason for bringing up with another Me Too product. You have to really identify what would differentiate yourself from the rest of the competition. What unique value proposition will your product have? What is that thing which will catch the buyer's attention? And for that, what you need to do is probably talk to as many people as possible in your customer base, your target customer base, and give them open-ended questions and say, what do you think your problems are? Where are your pain points? And start noting down, which will give you an idea about themes which they are referring to. And if you compare the notes from 5 such discussions, you will know that there are recurring themes for the target segment, and that is what your pitch should be. So instead of you deciding or pre-deciding what your pitch should be, you're actually getting your customer to talk about it and finally come up with a product which will allow you to address those pitches, and therefore it will be well received. So that's the first question. Is there a need for this particular product? Let's assume the answer is a positive. The response is affirmative, and therefore you decide to go ahead. What's the next big thing? So we have a few startup entrepreneurs here. What do you think would be the next biggest risk that you have, or the question that you need to find an answer for? Not in any particular order, but from your experience, what's the next big
Price.
The price is one, but even before that, a few of
Maturity of market.
the maturity of the market to buy your product that you are looking at. Are they ready for this particular solution? So that's a very good point. Anything after that?
Environment impact. Environment impact.
Environment in the sense.
The healthcare product.
Okay. So that will be domain specific, but those are valid points. From a domain perspective, from an industry perspective, what kind of an impact does it have? Does it have any other ramifications? The other is the technology technically feasible what they are asking for? You see there is a demand, but can you convincingly provide a solution, a reasonable solution within the budget that you have? Because you don't want to provide something which you cannot chew, because you will eventually fail because you run out of resources. So how do you make sure that all these different elements will fit into your scheme of things? Okay, so that's where you have so many questions. At each point, you will have one assumption that you are making, which has the biggest impact. A yes or no will have the biggest impact. Identify that, and then go to your target segment or the respective stakeholders and say, "We're working on this. What do you think?" And if the answer is not very positive, then you'll have to rework it before you commit all your money and your resources. But if the answers are affirmative and you can deal with that answer, you can handle that and tweak your product to meet those, then go to the next risk case assumption after that. And then the risk case one after that, which will help you kind of tie all these different elements together, the 5 stages of from an idea to the revenue being generated in the best possible way. So these are the 2 questions that we talked about. What is the risk case assumption that I am holding right now? I have made, in my business case, I have made so many assumptions. But what is the biggest one that could have a bearing on my eventual success? Or what are those elements, the supporting factors which I assume, I take for granted will be there? What if they are not there, then what happens? Will I be stuck, or will I have an alternative at that point? How significant are they to my overall success? And then, what is the smallest experiment I can do to test this assumption? So in many cases, it is talking to people, but a technology solution, you probably have to try to build one. Different components that need to come together. Can you actually make it work in the first place? And then you can think about scaling it. Right? But if you try to build a large one all at once, chances are that by the time you build it, the market has moved somewhere else, the need has changed, and therefore what you build has only very limited application. So in order to cover those risks, I think these 2 questions are extremely important from your perspective. Keep asking, and then once you think you have covered all the areas, I think you should go back to the first question again. What's my risk case assumption as of that point? Has the market moved from the time I did my first evaluation, and therefore are there new insights, new trends that I should be aware of? And is the need changing? Is the customer changing? Is the customer's industry changing overall? That I assume all of them would have a lot of money, because take the oil and gas industry. 18 months ago, they were all flush with cash. Price was above $100. Today, if you go to any of them, they wouldn't even want to talk to you, because they don't know whether they will have their job. The employees there would have their job, because everybody is going to do a drastic budget. So what happens? The picture has changed. So if somebody was building a product specifically for the oil and gas segment at a certain price point, should you continue or should you not? So that's a question that you need to keep looking at. It's not a once in a month kind of exercise. I think as leaders, you should probably are doing it subconsciously almost every single hour. But it's a good exercise to do, to ask these 2 questions when you are meeting with your peers, your own founding team, as well as your senior leadership of your organization, and finding, is there any feedback that is coming either from a customer perspective or a market perspective or the technology perspective, which will have a significant bearing on your success. So that's what I wanted to leave you with today. Are there any questions?
Can I add on to related? So I wanted to share actual experience in working with a few of my customers. These are obviously related, but it's more towards with personality. So we started working with an entrepreneur. He's a perfectionist. He wants to learn MVP. So we started building, and he's supposed to take it out in 2 months. So Mr. Profit said, no, that button's color is, a little bit shadow here and a little bit stronger on the other stream. So he kept on, prolonging the actual delivery of the MVP to the product, the fact that he is a perfectionist. So I think to me, we were saying, oh my God, you have a great opportunity, man. Go take it to the market and see what people say. He said, no, I don't want to do it. Because I want everything to be perfect. I think that's what will happen, right? So, you need to take it at a point that you feel comfortable that you can test with the users. So that psychological feel about when I am ready. If you are perfectionist, you should have other people who complementary skills to convince this person, let's take it to the market. And let me tell you,
It's been 9 months we've been working with this guy. It's still in MVP. Still nobody has presented it. The market must have moved. So that's one real experience. The second one is a different thing. Okay, this is a different scenario wherein this inventor has got a video which explains this is the product that's been liked by millions of people. It's a mobile application. So he started building it. So we're building it. So in 1 month down the lane, somebody said, "Why are you building on this platform? There is this platform. It's a technical decision, right? This platform will allow you to build it faster and it can cut across all mobile platforms so easy." So this guy switched from this platform to the other platform. And it's been like 3 months. He cannot even register one user to the thing because the platform did not work. So the technical decisions you make, it's very important that you validate that the technology that you're going to use to build the MVP definitely is sort of tested, proven, and it will get you there. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Sakir. That was the golden words from Mr. Sakir. I should make a brief idea on who is Sakir. Actually, Sakir, he's a business leader with immense experience in product and service sales, account management, business development and program management. He advises startup organizations on areas of service definition, revenue growth, sales and strategy, and sales operation management. He also coaches individuals on career planning and development. He is now the Vice President of Innovation Incubator in Product Management. So, that was a golden word, sir. Thank you so much. And, So, I think it's the time for Mr. Sakir to leave. Actually, he's in an emergency call. So, Mr. Sakir, can you just come forward? We have a moment for just to express the gratitude. This session, which was ongoing, that is product metamorphosis. Actually, every product meetup in Product Cradle, we are dedicating this session for make you to hear the words from the experts. How to make your ideas from the ideation to the product which you were aiming for, to make it to the market and make it there is a dream in everyone to make your ideas to become a product. So this session is dedicated to make you listen to the words from the experienced hands. Okay. So next is a session by Mr. Rennie and John, that is the product bite. Here we are taking 2 sessions for the product bite, that is one by Mr. Rennie and John and one by Mr. Ashik Ajit. So about Rennie and John, he is an associate product manager working with Ruby Software for last 3 years. And he has his core competencies as requirement analysis, sales and marketing.
Thanks for the intro, Farda. So first of all, thank you all for joining us today. I've been in product management for the past 2 years under Joyce's guidance. So today, what we have done is we have selected a product that we think is socially relevant, and when we look at it, it has a social impact as well. Okay. So this diagram, this picture that you see on the board, any guesses as to what this means? It's visible, right? You can all see it. Okay, I will give you a clue. 97.
Drink what the fish drinks. Drink what the fish drinks.
Drink what the fish drinks. Okay, that's close enough. But then any other suggestions?
It's water, right?
It's water, yes. Okay, fine. So imagine all of the water in the world put into a diagram, or water on planet Earth. If it were to be put in a single picture, this is how it would look like. 97% of water on planet Earth is saline, unfit for human use. 2% exists as ice and glaciers, also unfit for human use. And we have 1% which is pure fresh water that is accessible for drinking, that's good for drinking. Okay. And then of this 1%, 70% goes for irrigation, agriculture demands 70% of the water, and then rest go for power and energy, etc. So as domestic, the domestic human family, a typical human family gets less than 1%, very less than 1% of the total water reserves in the world. Okay? And let's look at what a typical US household, let's look at what percentage a typical US household, 50 to 70% of their water, where does it go? Any guesses here? 50 to 70% of fresh water that reaches a US household, where does it go?
Gardens.
Bathing, okay. Good suggestion. You can loosen up, you can. Cleaning vehicles, outdoor use, very good, yes. Agriculture, close enough. So let me tell you, do you know where 50 to 70% of water in a typical US household goes? It goes to water their lawns. Apparently, maintaining a lawn is of so much importance to a typical US household that 50 to 70% of all the water they get, fresh water, potable water, goes to agriculture. Okay? And this is how they do it. They have water sprinklers. Water sprinklers spread across acres of land. So you get the importance of this market when you see that it has a separate Wikipedia page for itself. Okay? So 50 to 70% of all fresh water goes there. So now, so the idea of this session is to introduce a product, an innovative product that we found out in our research. Okay? So we thought this was interesting, and so we are bringing it out to you so that we can discuss and get some insights probably. Okay. So in this context, this is what the United Nations have to say about the existing water crisis that we are facing. It says that the United Nations says that in the coming decade, in 10 years, 1.8 billion, this is a quarter of the whole world's population, would be living in areas of absolute water scarcity. So, isn't there a problem here? There is, we have such limited amount of fresh water available for drinking. Of that, a lot of it goes for watering our lawns. And the crux of the problem here is that of the 50 to 70% that actually goes for watering, 60% is guaranteed to go waste. So the users, the owners of the plants, they don't get anything out of it, neither do the plants, they also don't get anything out of it. Okay? So the problem here is inefficiency in the current way of watering levels using sprinkler systems. Okay? So the problem that we are trying to address is revamp this process, bring the concept of a smart sprinkler system, okay, for domestic irrigation. So by domestic irrigation, household lawns, lawns for parks, all these can come in the picture. Okay. So the next is an interesting exercise. So I'll reiterate our objective. We need healthy plants. We need a healthy lawn. Okay. Agree. And then the system has to be automatic. We cannot every day we cannot go and switch on the system and make sure that it works and then turn off. It cannot be like operating a pump day in and day out. So the system has to be automatic. It has to reduce water wastage. It has to be easy to set up, easy to use. Usability is a factor. And then it should be a cutting edge 21st century gadget. So with this objective in mind, with this as your set of requirements, how would you, if you were leading this, how would you define your product? What all would your product have? This is what your product should address. It should give the users clean, beautiful lawns, but then it should save water. How would you define this? What are your thoughts? So we'll think about this for more, 1 minute wherein you can, we are living in the 21st century. All the ideas that you have, you can collect it and then we'll have maybe 5-6% one or two of you can give your ideas. So 1 minute to think about it.
I have a few questions.
Sure.
Can I ask them now?
Yeah, sure. Please.
You said 50 to 60, 70% water goes waste. That's a percentage.
Yeah.
How much quantity does it actually mean? Because if you say 100% of 1 glass of water goes waste.
50 to 70% of water that's given for domestic use in the US.
So how much?
You mean in terms of gallons?
No. Actually, how many people can it feed if we do save that?
Yeah, in terms of a number, I do not have the actual number.
And your original statistics,
Do you have sources for that?
Yes. The 97.2 and 1% yes. In fact, the number 1%, like it's actually not even 1%. It's
rounded off. I
0.007. So I couldn't believe it myself. So that's why most sources had it as 1. So the actual value is 007, 0.007. That's the amount of fresh water that's accessible for domestic use. Yeah. So let's think about this for 1 minute. Okay, any ideas? How would you solve this problem? Please. If you were leading this, how would you solve this? Your plants need to be, let's look at the requirements once again. You need healthy plants, the system must be automatic, it should reduce wastage. Okay, when I say automatic, it does not mean that every day at this point of time the sprinkler should come on and it should water. If it's raining, it should not water. Okay, and when we say a reduced wastage of water, let's say the plant that you're growing is a cactus. So the cactus does not need water. So then the system should be sensible enough to water the cactus in such a way that it only gets the desired amount of water.
Controlling the amount of water.
Yes, that is one of the factors that has to be there. So we are looking at how would we create a product that can do that. What all would it have? Controlling, yes. So how do we measure this and then put it in the system, make it compact?
We're talking about the soil sensors where you measure the water content and then spray it accordingly.
Soil sensors is a very good way of looking at it. So you're saying we could have a sensor in the soil?
You can probably, first step would be to segregate your land into small components and measure air, soil, the humidity stuff.
Exactly.
And then you come up with some kind of logic to spray.
Yes.
And
So
yes, you
basically use sensors.
Sensors is the only intuition that comes.
Very cool. It's cool. Let's give it a round of applause. So sensors is definitely cool. Yes. Sensors, 21st century product. Yes. Sensors definitely. Yes. What else?
The rate at which we are supplying the water, is the garden actually taking up at that rate? Because if it is taking up at a lower rate, a lot of water is going waste. So
Okay.
some method to understand how quickly it absorbs all of that,
Yes.
that would help.
That would help. If we can put a system to do that, yes, definitely.
Not necessarily a system. If you could even on paper work it out how much it needs,
Oh, okay, right.
that would help.
That depending on the soil type. Yes, yes, that's also a valid thing. Any other pointers?
I prefer to include a mobile app in order to
Why
control
a
it.
mobile app?
Just easy to use.
Easy to use. Why not? Why not make the whole thing work on a mobile app? It shouldn't be like switching on and off like it's right now. Like it's a 21st century thing that we are talking about. Everything is mobile enabled now. So why not? The mobile interface, yes, very good. So what else?
Here, can we use recycled water? What we can use for?
Yes. Yeah. When we look at the problem in the grand scheme of things, yes, we could use that. But then, since we are talking about a product that addresses this particular domestic water we use, but then yes, it's a valid suggestion. Yes.
You can sync it with the weather apps. Weather apps.
We can sync it. Awesome. When he says we can sync it with the weather applications that are around. Very good. So let's see. So the next thing is, see, we are not the first persons to conceive or come up with ideas like this. So there are already geeks and really cool guys out there who have solved this problem. So I would like to present. This is the product that we'll be talking about today. Okay. So this was designed and developed in Italy. Okay, it's called Odo. The name of the product is Odo. It started out as a Kickstarter campaign. They are releasing it in March next month. Okay. So let's hear what the Odo guys have to say.
Don't you feel guilty about wasting water? Everyone likes a beautiful garden or a terrace full of colorful plants. But gardens and plants need fresh water, and reserves are being depleted globally faster than you think.
The planet is suffering, and we should all be on a mission to reduce the impact that our human activities make on it. We have modern appliances, we use clean energy, however, we still irrigate like we did hundreds of years ago. This inspired me to look for a smart system that through the use of latest technology would be able to reduce the impact of irrigation on potable water reserves. So, I began the development of Odo. Odo is the most advanced, efficient, sustainable, smart domestic irrigation solution system.
Odo is a complete and flexible solution for the irrigation of your garden or terrace. Odo is simple and easy to install. It knows the water needs of your plants and automatically adjusts the irrigation profile to weather forecasts and to soil conditions. This flexibility improves efficiency and water saving.
It allows you to save more than 7,000 liters of potable water each year, keeping the highest standards of health and beauty for your plants. Makes use of clean energy from the sun. It is completely self-sufficient and sustainable.
Our technology for data transmission is the core of the product. It works at a low frequency that allows a wider range and low battery consumption. Odo is connected to the cloud and constantly monitors the weather forecasts from the web. It also compares this data for a double check with its embedded weather station. It's plug and play and compatible with every existing irrigation system. Odo is completely automatic and easy to set up. You can manage your entire system by the palm of your hand and control the status of your garden wherever you are. Odo takes care of your plants for you, and you can easily control the entire process. It has an extensive plants database to control your cultivation through its sensors. You can always know the health status of your plants. The Odo app is the perfect tool to monitor and manage your system wherever you are. You just need an internet connection. Odo is a social movement for water sustainability too. You can share your experiences and your successes on popular social networks or on its dedicated community. Now you can open your faucets, being sure not to waste water. Now you are part of a revolution.
We are offering an affordable price to make this revolution possible. We want to spread out all over the world, but we need your support. The more it is spread worldwide, the more affordable will be our product and will make a larger revolutionary impact on our planet. This isn't just about smart gardening, this is a social movement for water sustainability.
So how cool is that?
Do we actually need smart things for that? Don't we just need the current system to be less dumb?
Yes. So, the thing is, that's a very good question. You know what? To address the same problem, right? There are different ways of looking at it. So this is the okay. So the beauty about a system like this is it's autonomous. Okay. So it can operate on its own. So his point was, do we need a system to act, a new product to actually address this problem? We have existing sprinkler systems. Okay. Why not make that which is done? That's why it's making causing water loss and everything. Why not make it smart? Yes. So there are products that address that problem as well. So the idea is, let's say you have 5 sprinklers, and then you have a central embedded system, a microcontroller-based system which controls the 5 sprinklers. If this is done, and if it cannot make intelligent decisions, then it will cause water loss through the 5 sprinklers, right? So there are products that address the same problem by enabling you to replace this system with a more intelligent one. Okay, but does that answer your question?
Sort of.
Okay. So this is priced at $199. Okay. So now.
There's a product created by Malaya which is actually featured in a program for Atman. I've got a video of the product. Can I show?
Yeah, you can show it.
So pardon me, this is Malayalam book.
ഞാൻ ആരെയാ വിളിക്കുന്നതെന്നാണ് ഇതൊരാളെയൊന്നുമല്ല, ഇതൊരു സൂത്രപ്പടിയാണ്. ഞാൻ ഈ നമ്പറിൽ കോൾ ചെയ്യും, എനിക്ക് ചുറ്റുമുള്ള ഈ ചെടികൾക്കൊക്കെ വെള്ളം കിട്ടും. ഒന്നും അത് മനസ്സിലായില്ല അല്ലെ? എനിക്കും മനസ്സിലായില്ല. അതെന്താണെന്നറിയാൻ നമുക്ക് പോയി നോക്കാം ഒരു സ്ഥലത്ത്.
തൃശൂർ ജില്ലയിലെ വടക്കാഞ്ചേരിയിലുള്ള യുവ കർഷകനാണ് വിനയൻ. ബിടെക് ബിരുദധാരിയായ ഇദ്ദേഹം 4 ഏക്കറോളം വരുന്ന തന്റെ പുരയിടം ആസൂത്രിതമായി മികച്ച കൃഷിയിടമാക്കി മാറ്റിയിരിക്കുകയാണ്. തന്റെ കാർഷിക വൃത്തിക്ക് പ്രയോജനപ്പെടുത്തുവാനായി ചില സാങ്കേതിക വിദ്യകൾ വിനയൻ വികസിപ്പിച്ചെടുത്തിട്ടുണ്ട്. വിനയൻ കണ്ടുപിടിച്ച 3 സാങ്കേതിക വിദ്യകളെ പരിചയപ്പെടാനാണ് ആത്മാഗ്രഹത്തിലെ കർഷകർ ഈ കൃഷിയിടത്തിലെത്തിയിരിക്കുന്നത്.
മൊബൈൽ ഓട്ടോമേഷൻ, ബനാന സ്റ്റെം അനലൈസർ, ഫാർമേഴ്സ് ടെലിസ്കോപ്പ് എന്നീ 3 ടെക്നോളജികളാണ് വിനയൻ ചേട്ടൻ കണ്ടെത്തിയിരിക്കുന്നത്. നമുക്ക് ആദ്യം മൊബൈൽ ഓട്ടോമേഷൻ എന്താണെന്ന് നോക്കാം. എന്താണ് നമ്മുടെ ഈ കൃഷിയിടത്ത് വിനയൻ കർഷകർ കണ്ടുപിടിച്ച പുതിയ ടെക്നോളജി എന്താണ്?
മൊബൈൽ ഓട്ടോമേഷൻ എന്ന രീതിയാണ് ഇപ്പോൾ ഞാൻ അവലംബിച്ചിരിക്കുന്നത്. അതായത് തന്നെ ഇന്നോവേഷനിൽ കണ്ടുപിടുത്തമുള്ളത്. അതായത് മൊബൈലിൽ വീടിന്റെ അവിടെ വെച്ച് കഴിഞ്ഞാൽ എങ്ങനെ കർഷകനായാലും അല്ലെങ്കിൽ യാത്ര ചെയ്യുന്ന കർഷകനായാലും ഫീൽഡിലില്ല. അപ്പൊ അദ്ദേഹം ടൗണിന്റെ ഏത് മൂലയിലേക്ക് കഴിഞ്ഞിട്ട് അദ്ദേഹത്തിന് ജസ്റ്റ് കോൾ വഴി അദ്ദേഹം ഇപ്പോൾ അല്ലെങ്കിൽ ഹൈടെക് ആയിക്കോട്ടെ, ഓപ്പൺ ഫാം ആയിക്കോട്ടെ, ഏത് തന്നെയായാലും അതിന്റെ ഉപകരണങ്ങളെല്ലാം ലോകത്തിന്റെ ഏത് മൂലയിലേക്ക് കഴിഞ്ഞാലും കൺട്രോൾ ചെയ്യാൻ പറ്റും. ഇതാണ് നമ്മുടെ മെയിൻ വസ്തുക്കൾ. ഡിവൈസ് എന്നുള്ള രീതിയിൽ ഉപയോഗിക്കുന്നു. എൻകോഡിംഗ് ഡിവൈസ് ആയിട്ട് ഈ വസ്തു കൺട്രോൾ ചെയ്യുന്നത്.
The same problem addressed in a different way. So this is, I mean, you get the idea, right? This is a different way of looking at the same problem. Okay? So then,
Here isn't this convenience rather than water saving?
true. Convenience. That's the point. So in terms of looking at water saving, no, but then convenience. Suppose a person is traveling and then he thinks, okay, I should be watering my plants right now. You know, always connect by his app. Yes, true. So now what we'll do is, so we have listened to what Odo is, right? Now let's, being entrepreneurs and people who are looking to be in the IT industry for a long period of time going forward, let's analyze this product and see what all it would have. Okay? So definitely it has a sensor unit. You saw how the whole product, it had 3 parts. It had the basic embedded system unit, it had a sensor which was put into plants, into the soil, and then it had the actual strippers. So it has an array of sensors. It uses weather data. Okay? And then it has the sprinkler timer, which is the embedded system, and of course the sprinklers. It had a mobile user interface, solar cells, and then a backend server. Okay. So now let's see how these different systems interact together. And so right now at this point, this is Odo and their technology. So right now, whatever that we are saying is based on our expertise in the IT industry as well. So this need not be the actual thing that they are doing. So this is how, if at all one of you want to build something along these lines, this could be a way of looking at it. So we have sensor units, a system of sensors to measure air temperature, pressure, fertility of soil, humidity of soil, ambient light, and precipitation. We have to get the weather data. We have, these are popular weather data providers. We can just link to these systems and they will give you the required data in case and other formats. You'll get that. So then the pricing here is depending on the number of API calls that you make, the pricing would range from $0 to $2,000 per month, depending on the number of calls. Okay? And then mobile interface, it can be iOS or Android devices. Your server can be in a programming language. And the embedded system, the system that Odoo uses, we are not sure, but then we looked at a few other competitors and other systems, so they were using A051, C51, and then Arduino-based systems are also there. We checked those out. And then sprinklers, it can be sprinklers that we just saw, or it can be sprinklers for drip irrigation, which is a different kind of irrigation. Okay? So now, coming to the last slide of this presentation. Now let's look at how these systems interact. I mean, being technologists and entrepreneurs, you would have understood the process by now. But then I'll just give you a walkthrough of how we think it would go. So basically, this is where the user is. The user would interact with the mobile app and set which of time sprinklers should be activated. And then he would associate, remember it has a planned database. So Odoo, the founders of Odoo, they have built into the server and the mobile device and this preset list of plants and their required list of their optimal levels of water, humidity and all these other parameters. They already have it stored in the app. So then what the user would probably do is he will select a sprinkler, like you said, divide into zones, and then in the particular zone he would probably mention what plants would come in under sprinkler rate. Okay? And then this data would go to the server, which would then get data from the sensor which is located at this zone near sprinkler rate. And then what it will do is it will process the data, identify, all the data would be crunched, and the ultimate question, the final question that will be answered is, should the plant be watered, yes or no? So if it has to be watered, it will cross it with the weather API to make sure that the data is accurate, or whether, if heavy rain is predicted to fall in the next 2 hours, then watering the landscape right now would not be a good idea. So these kinds of clarifications you can check with the weather API. Pass data onto the microcontroller, the embedded system. Okay, the embedded system is the one which has the water source connected to it. So then, based on how the data reached here, the embedded system will orchestrate the working of the sprinklers. So, any questions that I can help you with right now regarding this? Okay. So we have healthy plants and automatic system, and studies show that intelligent smart sprinklers like these can reduce water consumption, water wastage by around 50%. Okay, it's easy to use, easy to install, and it's a 20% gadget. So thank you for your time.
So it's a time for me taking a break. There is tea and snacks available there beside. You can just go, take a break for 10 minutes and come back soon.